All right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Today I would like to take the time to talk to you guys about cosmetic surgery and why it shouldn't be performed on teenage girls. And my first point would be that I believe that breast augmentation or nose implants or liposuction should not be performed on teenage girls because if they range between the age of 13 to 19, their body is still in full growth development, and between that age is when they hit puberty. So everything in their body is changing, everything is transforming into the image of a young woman. So why should they take into consideration, getting a boob job to satisfy, the guys at their high school, or, it's like sex appeal to them. They wanna have that image to look like a celebrity. So the cause, I believe, to girls wanting cosmetic procedures done to them at such an early age is because of the media and celebrities that are seen as beauty icons. I don't know if you guys have heard of Heidi Montag. She was on The Hills, and she got a total of 10 surgical procedures done, and she regretted it at the end. And I think that if young girls see how bad it is when you get 10 procedures like that done, it can really affect your body. And the media plays a role, like shows like Nip Tuck, the bridalplasty, I Want a Famous Face. All those shows are manipulating these young girls and wanting to be something they're not. And beauty was, something original, something natural that should come to every girl. And they shouldn't have to want to reconstruct their face to be something that they're not. It's not accepting, it's not who you are originally. And studies showed in the American Society of Plastic Surgeons for the total amount of girls that got boob jobs in 2010 was 8,525. And those are girls between the ages of 13 and 19. And girls that got liposuction was a total amount of 3,000. And then girls that wanted nose jobs was 35,005 girls across the nation that got nose jobs. Now, I think those numbers are pretty ridiculously high for being a teenager. Like, you can use $3,500 for breast augmentation to put down on your first car payment. You can use it to, help your parents around the house, pay the mortgage, give them food, provide for your younger siblings if you have any. So those numbers are really high. And I think the main point that I'm circling around would be more of breast augmentation, because girls are always going to be changing. They're going to go through pregnancy, they're going to go through lactation, they're going to go through baby experiences throughout their entire life, and their sizes are going to change, not just going to have to focus and stick around to being, oh, I want to be like a full double size, because guys like girls with big boobs. But studies also show that there's 32% of men that will leave their girlfriends if they do get breast augmentations. So they should take that into considering that it could ruin a relationship as well. And I found an article called The Consumer, and stated by Dr. Peter Fedor. He said that he would give a teenage girl breast augmentation if he noticed that she was too small and she was still in her teens. And that's something that I would argue against, because you don't know if she's going to change. You don't know if she's going to constantly, if she's going to get pregnant at 20 or 21, and everything's going to be changing for her. So I believe that the solution to this is that we should take in what we have and not have to change for anybody. We should accept our role as who we are as people. We shouldn't reconstruct or spend thousands of dollars trying to have the ideal beauty image of being someone that we're not. Like, everyone is beautiful, everyone has to accept that, and they have to learn to accept themselves and be happy with who they are and not who they wish to become. Thank you.
All right, Servando, what did you think?
I thought the intro was a little, we could use a little bit more help. Also, I noticed that she would use a lot of and ums throughout her speech. I counted 8. Also, the transitions could have been a little stronger. But I like her sources. The sources really seem pretty reliable. And also, I really enjoyed her conclusion. It really added a lot of insight in her opinion on the subject, which went on really to the speech.
All right, Denise, I thought that you needed more of an attention device to get us started and to draw us in. You basically just start with the topic. I think you've got a pretty clear explanation of what the topic is and how you're going to go about, what your point of view on it is. So I think that part is solid, but you still need some of those things that we discussed earlier in the term concerning the opening of the speech. You need something to draw us in, to make the speech compelling at the beginning. You want to have a clear layout of what the structure of the speech is going to be so that the audience can follow along a little bit more clearly. Internally, your labeling is okay on the supporting points. Sometimes it feels a little bit awkward. I think I know what Servando's talking about when he mentions that the transitions feel awkward, because it felt like at one point he said, and the cause of this is, I said, okay, I know she's making a transition from one point to the next, but it didn't really flow as smoothly as it might have. So there are just some technical issues in regards to those things that I think are problematic. From the beginning of the speech, I was a little concerned that there wasn't going to be much data in it. Now, as you got further into the speech, some of the data that I think you needed came into the presentation. So you had data about the number of girls in that age group who'd gotten breast implants or nose jobs or a liposuction. And I thought that that was actually a good statistic to have. It would have made a little bit more sense to have it in that opening section when you're describing what the problem is and explaining how it could have these negative consequences. The only example that you really refer to is Heidi Montag, and I think that you refer to her more as an example of how the media causes this rather than what the consequences are. I think you need either some hypothetical examples or some actual examples of girls who, especially girls, since that's what you're focusing on, who have talked their families or doctors into letting them do this and then regret it later on or had some consequence. I did think it was an interesting piece of data that you had in the speech. It was the one piece of statistical information I didn't really hear a source citation on that said that 32% of men would leave their girlfriends if they got a boob job. So I guess that suggests that there is some unintended consequence here, and that girls may in fact be setting themselves up for a big disappointment in what's going on. And that's a place where if you had some more of those regret stories at the end, I think it would be more involving. You did an okay job citing the statistics when you presented them and giving credibility on that. I think that the citation that you had of the one doctor from the source, the consumer, needed to be earlier in the speech, because that's really another one of the problem kinds of things. And then I think there needed to be a little bit more analysis of the cause. You mentioned some TV shows and you made a reference to Heidi Montag, and I suspect that that is probably where some of that pressure comes from. But I don't know how big a component of that it is. The number of girls that you refer to each year who get this kind of surgery, 8,500 it's not a small number, but in comparison to the total number of girls in that age group, it sounds pretty small. And that's why we need to know that the